You are live.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to Magdalene Chronicles Part 2. Hi. So good to see you all. Thank you so much for being on. We have two beautiful guests for you guys tonight. We have the beautiful Caliana Rose from Australia. She's just an
Mhm.
amazing Magdalene channel. She's got beautiful things to let us know about, especially with the Magdalena codes. We got Maharna, part of the Esoteric guys NYC. And we seem to have experienced a little bit of an echo. Scott, can we fix that? We're trying to.
So the thing is, because maybe you need headphones or something, I'm gonna have to mute other people while you're speaking. That's
Okay,
all. Okay. There we go. How's that?
much better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay. So tonight is a very special night. We are going to be talking about the divine feminine, and it's going to be an amazing night with an intense energy, live channel, and just the opening of the divine womb, healing the divine feminine and its womb, healing the impact that it has had over 2,000 years of ridicule and chastise and persecution, and just bringing out the Shekinah, the Sophia wisdom, the divine embodiment, love, light, and healing, and the impact that it's having on Earth as the age of Aquarius is making a beautiful appearance for the first time in thousands of years. I'm actually going to switch it up a little bit. Maher, why don't you give us an astrological and energy update on the age of Aquarius? And then I'll continue from there.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Okay. All right. So, like Mariana rightfully said, we have had, we're moving, we're transitioning, we're in this middle stage of transitioning from the age of Pisces that's been here for thousands of years, the age of Yeshua. And Pisces was about death and rebirth and resurrection and sacrifice. And in the age of Pisces, we learned through the wounds where of the masculine, and now as we are transitioning into the age of the Aquarius, what is Aquarius bringing, right? So Aquarian energy is all about freedom. Aquarian energy is really about liberation, but liberation in the sense of there is this freshness and there is this newness and there is fairness and community and innovation and technology and all of these things that Uranus brings in through the age of the Aquarius. And why is that so important for the rise of the, and why do they talk about the divine feminine so much in the age of Aquarius? Um, One of the most important reasons is that we're breaking free of old molds. So when we talk about the masculine and feminine, we're not really just talking about like a man and a woman. We're talking about these energies in the universe that have been there for thousands of years, the structures and the systems. And we had Saturn Pluto conjunction in Capricorn, breaking down the Capricornian paternal structures, the giant industrial things that have been there for ages. And as we move into the flow, Aquarius is also about oneness and equality. So there is no hierarchy, there's no me versus you. It is all coming into unison. So we're talking about the equality and the merging of the masculine and the feminine here, and we're just in the cusp of it. We just about began this age. So starting from the solstice everyone who has been a certain archetype has been having these shifts, it's because we have 1 degree Aquarius in Saturn and Pluto on the exact solstice, and we're really just about entering this age of, we're still learning how to navigate into this new age. And what it is bringing in is that anything that's not authentic, that's not real, that's based on power structures, that's not and the feminine is when we flow from the inside. The feminine is when we're not planning and structuring, and when we're just flowing. And anything that is not in sync with that flow and in sync with the unison and in sync with what is good for the collective is going to fall apart. There is no more lack of authenticity that will be allowed. And we're just about seeing the beginning of this stage is where we are at. And that is why a lot of this is bubbling up for all of us to release as we come into our sovereignty, but then through coming into our sovereignty, finally coming into the unison and accepting. But, we first need to process our grief and our anger and our, that's been buried for thousands of years, and then release it. And then we can come into that place of peace where we can together merge with the divine masculine, and the divine masculine is learning to release its distorted side and come through. So that is why it is all happening now. That is why this is the coming together, and that is the astrological piece. So without taking up too much time, I'm going to give it back to Leah.
Absolutely amazingly said. I couldn't have said it better. Kalyana, she's actually coming to us live from Australia. Would you like to add anything to that?
I totally concur with what Miha has said. This is such an amazing time on the earth. It's the time when we have really completed, on a soul level, the Lucifer Rebellion, where we went into the choice of free will over against divine will. It took 2,000 years for us to integrate what Yeshua brought through the masculine, and now we're in the activation of the Magdalene flame, which is the solar power of the feminine. But we birth Christ consciousness. This is the second coming now. And the second coming, Yeshua, Magdalene, all of those involved in that Christ story more than 2,000 years ago were giving us a little bit of a blueprint or a game plan of how to be Christed beings on the earth. And we do it through union, which is why the importance of Magdalene being acknowledged in Christ consciousness, because it is through the union that we birth Christ consciousness here. And so it's through our own inner twin flame. We may be working with an external twin flame, if that's what our contract is. Through that union of the masculine and feminine, we are birthing Christ consciousness here. We're birthing ourselves, that Christ child, which is the angelic human. And so everything, Christ consciousness is coming to our planet. As Miha said, the Piscean age, we got, the cold-blooded fish. And we were meant, really is the golden dolphin. And in my segment today, that's what I'll be working with, that joy of Christ consciousness, and to help clear some of the beliefs that to be Christed being meant suffering, martyrdom, death. And to me, the age of Aquarius, we're really lifting that 1 foot out of the Piscean age, and we're putting it into the Aquarian age, which is like that beautiful song of Yeshua, I'm the Lord of the dance, said he, where he came in playing a flute and dancing, I'm the Lord of the dance. And the dance is with the Magdalene, the Christed feminine, the Christed masculine. And that's a dance of union that sits in our high heart chakra. And then we can birth through our inner union that Christ consciousness as we support Mother Earth, who is becoming Christened. That's the second coming. And everything's coming to the surface because Christ consciousness is coming here. And one of the original messages that I was given was that through my son many years ago was that if we went towards the Christ consciousness with our hearts and our arms open, it would be such a graceful joining. But if we experience the pain in our bodies, it's showing us where we have a block or resistance to that coming in. And that resistance is all the old thought forms that to be Christed being means suffering, martyrdom, death, torture, all those old memories. And this is not what it's about now. It's about, and we all learned from that. It wasn't that, there's always that law of divinity acting out in everything. But now it's the time to move into that Aquarian age, which is laughter, song, dance, abundance, teaching that part of Christ consciousness, the ascension. I'll give back to you, Mariana.
Is why I have these amazing embodiments of divine feminine here on the show today. Specifically why. I wanted Talia to actually bring in the introduction of the Magdalene Code, if you can hear me, because we're still experiencing technical. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. My journey a little bit was many years ago, Yeshua came to me and Mary Magdalene through the brotherhoods and sisterhoods of the Rose, Mother Mary, all holding that for Christ conscious like a beautiful chalice or Holy Grail. And if you look at the stories of the Holy Grail, the knights were all chasing this disappearing woman, and the disappearing woman was the feminine. And that is a way we birth, the feminine births, and that's the feminine within men as well. We birth. And so the Magdalene Codes are, after many, many years, this is a 30-year body of work, initially with flower essences and crystals, because the flowers and crystals, in the time of Atlantis, when we lost our 12 chakra strands, our DNA, what happened is that the crystal divas and flower divas stepped forward and they said, rather than have all that energy go back into the cosmos that was supporting our 12 chakra, 12 strand DNA, they would hold it in their kingdoms so that they could give it back when humanity was ready to receive it. And this started happening around 1998 when the veil lifted from the feminine, because she was behind a veil in patriarchy. And so I did all the flower essence codes first, then that led me to Melchizedek. I'm a priestess of Melchizedek in the lineage, as I'm sure Mariana and Miha, we've talked about that, Miha. So the priestess and priestesses of Melchizedek promised that they would keep reincarnating to help restore the 12 strands of DNA for humanity. And so out of that came a whole body of work called DNA repatterning, and it's got 67 codes for every single endocrine gland and hormone to reinstate it to its spiritual nature, which is to bring light into our bodies. So what happens is that light comes from source, flows through light filaments into DNA strands, into a chakra. The chakra pulses it into an endocrine gland. The hormones take it through the blood. So humanity, to be empowered, needs to have a functioning endocrine system, which is so important, because if there's energy on our planet that wants to keep humanity disempowered, they attack the endocrine, because that's literally how we embody our light. So we really need to focus on doing whatever we can to keep our endocrine active, our chakra bodies active, so we can embody our light here. And so having done that, I could do the Magdalene Codes. So the Magdalene Codes I picked up in 1994. A friend and I were commissioned by Saint Germain and Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene and Yeshua to, between us, circle the earth, which we did. It took us 3.5 months going to many sites. And I didn't realize I was picking up the Magdalene Codes, and years later they literally started coming out of me, literally like gold discs out of my chakras. So I was asked to draw them. And what it is this is the code I'll be working with in my segment. The Magdalene Codes are, when I saw them coming out of my being, they were like gold discs. And when I asked, how would I draw them? I was told on this level, they come in through the pink ray, the magenta ray of the Magdalene. And so I drew them over several years. At the same time as Melchizedek gave me the book, my Andromedan higher self walked in and said, it's important that you speak in the language of light. It's the language of our soul. And so she gave me mantras to activate the codes. And they're the songs that form the chakras. So by singing the truth back to that original pure essence of the chakra, it starts to push up any thought forms blocking it. So I work with the mantras. When I did the Magdalene Codes, when I did the DNA, I had to meet the distortions, because we were in group consciousness. We were singing the truth back to the chakra, and we were giving the code back to activate the DNA, bringing that message in. And so I started to meet all distortions of masters, pretending to be masters who weren't, who created a lot of the, some not great things on our planet. You know, the Inquisition was through a distortion of Christ consciousness. A lot of things were done where these false masters created ashrams, people were bound to them. So I had to release a lot of contracts bound to any distortions. So I used to take people through that process. And then when I did the Magdalene codes, I was given the mantra for the stargates pulsing the endocrine glands, which is what the Magdalene codes do. And I had to meet the distortions there in myself as well, because in the free will experiment of Lucifer, the galactic runes, a lot of us made choices to go into free will. On Earth at the time, there was beautiful star beings who created teaching schools to teach humanity for the highest good. At the time of the Lucifer rebellion, some of them went into free will and power over. So we're mopping up the mess of the galactic wars. We're resolving the end of the patriarchy and matriarchy and moving into holyarchy. But we need to have a lot of forgiveness. We need to really see what's acting out between the masculine and feminine within us. Because as a woman, what the masculine mirrors back to me shows me what I have to deal with the relationship with my inner masculine. The same for a man. If he wants to know what's happening in his inner relationship, see what the feminine is reflecting back to him. And that's a gift. All the reflections, even though they're uncomfortable and they trigger us at times, is showing us something that we need to bring in. So the Magdalene codes, there's 22 of them. They go through all the chakras. They look at deactivating the death hormone in our pituitary, rejuvenating the rejuvenation hormone. They come through all the main glands. So the Yeshua codes that I drew are different. The Yeshua initiates. And so in order to draw the Magdalene codes, I had to call on my husband, Rama. He's very Syrian, and a lovely light worker, Wendy Munro, who's passed over, very Syrian. And they held space for me and gifted me the Yeshua codes into my being so that I could draw the Magdalene, because the masculine initiates, the Yeshua came first. And then I could draw the Magdalene codes. And years later, I thought that he would draw the Yeshua, but I was told they had to be drawn by one being for that inner union. So I drew all the Yeshua codes, and he now teaches them, which is wonderful. And so we did a lot through our twin flame union. I drew the Yeshua codes. Years later, he held space while I brought all the information through, and he scribed it by hand. And so that's how the masculine and feminine can work together. And the last lot I drew is called the Light of Christ Consciousness codes, because in my journey, what I was shown is that the light of Christ consciousness came as one light through all of the dimensions to the 12th dimension, still for one light of Christ consciousness, which is like a bit of our androgynous nature. Got to the 9th dimension and it individuated. Yeshua brought down the masculine codes, and the Magdalene held space and supported him in that mission through the feminine. And then now is the time for the Magdalene codes. And women, why people ask me, the Yeshua codes are called the lunar codes of the Christed masculine, and that's because the masculine in patriarchy has been in their solar power. They need to soften into the lunar. In patriarchy, feminine have been more in their passive lunar. We need to own the fire of the Magdalene flame, the solar, and start speaking the truth of what it is to nurture the earth. And if men are in their sacred masculine, they stand behind us and they guard our back. So as the feminine, all we have to do is open up and share the wisdom about what it is to nurture. Thank you for listening.
I just wanted to ask you, so does the feminine play more of like a receiving role, and the masculine at this point plays more of like a giving role?
In my experience, and I can only speak from my experience, I work with a beautiful group called the Ancient Father Circle, and they hold the true flame of the masculine. The Knights Templar did that. They were supporters of Mary Magdalene. Notre Dame was built for this time to come, and one of the codes I did for the spleen, I did in Notre Dame. Wow. And also in Tintagel, where Magdalene worked as well. And so because it is the time of the feminine to come back, to nurture. We have not been nurtured in the patriarchy. We've become like a desert because the nurturing hasn't been there, the respect of the feminine, the acknowledgement of the feminine in Christ consciousness, and the union in Christ consciousness. And so part of our work, there's been many Christed beings who've walked our planet, and all these Magdalene codes and DNA codes have amazing ascended beings standing behind them when they're activated with their mantra. And so the family of light, the Christ family of light, the earth is in a way ruled by the Christ planes. And so this is the second coming where our beautiful Mother Earth is ascending into Christ consciousness. And so in order to do that, we need to lift a lot of what we've left on the surface, sort of clogging up the surface of her chakras, of her codes, and we need to reinstate them again. Miha and I were having a talk before this and talking about the importance of singing and dancing the earth, because the earth, so Indigenous peoples of every culture would do that as a service to keep the surface alive. And that doesn't happen so much these days. So to sing and dance, often I walk the earth and I hear the ancient songs and I sing them back to the earth. And to dance and sing the earth is such a beautiful service to respect and honor Mother Earth, that, you know, she deserves to be sung and danced, and she deserves to be, we're all midwives. We're here to support Mother Earth birthing and becoming a star and ascending into the Christ planes. And so the Christ family of light are there for us. One of the codes I did is called the Christ Heart of Compassion code. And I use this code all the time in my sessions. It took probably days and days to draw it. I was in Bali when I drew it. And what it's about is that the so-called perpetrator and victim have something in common, a longing to come home to the heart of Source. And so we have to stop being victims. We have to take responsibility and bring all parts of ourselves home to be at peace with the male, female, and birth that Christ consciousness within. That's what we're here to do. And every single one of us who does that, we're putting that into the grids of Mother Earth. We're supporting her to birth into Christ consciousness, if that makes sense. And I'm speaking, I turned 70 last August, and this has been a big journey for me it's a 30-year body of work to bring all these codes through, and I've still got some to complete. And so I'm trying to complete my mission, and part of it is to share this more and more with people. As a grandmother, as a mother, work through many initiations of the feminine, which we all have. And when I facilitate women's group, it's like women have forgotten that in ancient times, when a woman had her first bleed, the priestesses broke the hymen. In patriarchy, it became that was, if a woman was married and the blood didn't come on the sheets to say that she was a virgin, then she could be divorced, she could be killed, all sorts of things. But women are, the Magdalene is the avatar of the Kundalini. We are in charge of our own sexual energy. No one else has the right to tell us what we do with that, what we create, how we express our sexual creative energy. But one of the processes I do with women in women's groups is to really let go of the old chastity belt that often we're still energetically bound in, where we gave our sexuality, our power in patriarchy over to the masculine to be in charge of. And we need to release that, because we need to take responsibility. At the end of matriarchy, often some of the feminine went into distortion. We abused our power. And like the earth is a learning experience. So we experienced matriarchy, like if you look at it like a seesaw. We experienced matriarchy. And in that, the masculine didn't feel fully empowered. So what do? We swing into patriarchy, where the feminine didn't feel empowered. And now we have to move into holyarchy, equally empowered, side by side, within and without, sharing our gifts and birthing Christ consciousness. And there's so many thought forms around that. You know, one of the beliefs is, maybe you might all want to release this with me. So you could say, I release the belief into the violet light through Saint Germain, working with the magenta ray of his twin flame lady Portia, to put us in a cocoon. And let's all say together, I release the belief.
I release the belief
that there can only be one energy.
that there can only be one energy,
Either masculine or feminine.
either masculine or feminine,
Empowered at the one time.
empowered at the one time.
And I ask my masculine, feminine, the pillar to the left, the feminine, the pillar to the right, to join me in the choice through our soul that we can be, to seed this thought together. We seed the thought that the masculine and feminine can be equally empowered, within and without, side by side, birthing the truth of who we are here. Christ consciousness, through ease and grace and joy. And let's seed that thought into the group heart of humanity for all the cultures where the feminine is still bound, afraid to speak their truth. And it's not that the feminine hasn't spoken the truth, but we've been bound by an old contract, which is that in patriarchy, the feminine agreed to close down their throat chakras, the men closed down their feeling centers so they could act out patriarchy. We closed down our throat chakras so we didn't speak, and the mother went behind a veil. We need to, that's why so many thyroid issues, women need to open up the throat chakra, let go of that old contract, and put out into the universe, the field of all possibilities, that as we speak our truth from our heart, always from our heart, that we will be heard and our speaking will be respected.
It's actually like the mystique of Pisces, the divine feminine and divine masculine coming together. Can any of you ladies elaborate a little bit on it?
You know, it's very interesting when you mentioned the Vesica Pisces, and what I was seeing, the image of as we were doing that, is almost like the left and the right brains coming together and kind of, intertwining. So like I believe that it would have very specific physical implications for anyone who has a left-right brain imbalance. So because this is really, we're not talking about anything external, but merging it within ourselves. And because we've all been other genders in other lifetimes. So, and carried both types of wounds in our DNA as this clears. And I love how the violet flame always comes to the rescue. I love how it blends in with the Christ consciousness, and I love how they always go hand in hand. It's such an easy tool, and yet such a high multi-dimensional tool, and there is just nothing that is not of the light that can survive in it.
I feel like this is a time where the higher heart comes together with the higher mind. And it's almost like they're connected right within this one space, which is the thymus gland, right? Which is the galactic command center that allows us to communicate with our higher self and our galactic selves. And so I wanted to ask Aliana if you can do the Magdalene code either with the heart of compassion or maybe the one for the spleen, and kind of walk us through it. And include the beautiful music in it too, please.
Well, the one when I was meditating this morning asking of Lady Nada, Mary Magdalene, what would she like me to share? And she said number 17, which is the sacral chakra.
Oh, wow.
And so even though I do have spleen codes, I have codes for the womb as well. This is the one she asked me to share with this group. So I'm trusting that. And so I'm going to read you what it's about, and then I'm going to activate it. So what this code is about, so we've got, this is the Magdalene code coming from the 9th dimension. And I'd like you all to say with me, because it's really important that you give permission for these codes. So what I want you to say with me is, through the grace
Through the grace
of the Divine Mother's heart,
of the divine Mother's heart,
earthing through the heart of the Magdalene,
birthing through the heart of the Magdalene,
I embrace the solar codes
I embrace the solar code
from the Christed Feminine,
from the Christed feminine,
from the Sirius portal, into my ovaries
Into my ovaries.
and my sacral chakra.
in my sacral chakra.
So this code here, all the codes have a spiritual purpose, and the spiritual purpose of this code is to connect us to soul family on Sirius, the Syrian High Council, the Syrian Archangels, and the Dolphin and Whale consciousness, to restore the true playfulness of the Christ consciousness through embracing our playful and joyous divine child, to restore the innocence and joy of sound, movement, and creativity in all its expressions, including our sexual expression. The blessing of this code is an awareness of the divinity in all things and the freedom to express in total joy this divinity on earth. And the ovaries code from Dina Repatning, its spiritual purpose is to restore and activate the true function of your ovaries, which is to remind you and humanity that all creative impulses stem from a connection to the divine, to restore a love of the sacred feminine and its creative forces, which express the love of all life, and to allow this love to heal the reproductive system. Its blessing is to assist in a balanced reproductive system by aligning it with the frequencies of your light body, which resonate with the sounds of divine creative impulses. So I'm going to sing the mantras that activate this code as I call in the Christ family. But before I do, I'm going to sing the song. This is a song of the solar angels. And the whole time the whales gave me this song when I was swimming with them. And it's a song that sings in the blessing of the solar angels. And the solar angels emanate from beyond the great, great central sun, and they bring through the rainbow light body, the 13 rainbow rays of heaven on earth. And the whole time I was bringing through these codes and all that I was releasing and owning and to bring these codes through, they sang to me this song all the time. And there's 7 of them. And as I sing this song, they're going to create and give them permission in where you are, in your home temple, to bring in a golden pyramid above and below. And this comes together to form a 6-pointed star, Star of David of male-female balance. And moving through it are the 13 rainbow ray rows. And as they sing it in, they'll be gifting you a 13 rainbow ray cloak to receive these codes through the grace of the Magdalene and the Mother. And this song means, this is my heart, I am home. So give it permission to, the 6 solar angels will hold the 6 directions. The 7th one, with your permission, will touch your heart to help you activate that Christ angelic human child within. So I call them in with this song, and then I will activate this code. And the 7th one, with your permission, touches your heart now. So you can feel at home here, to be a beautiful embodiment of the Mother Ray, the Christed Feminine. we ask you to go to the base of your heart chakra and stand underneath a beautiful archway of light in your 13 rainbow ray cloak. And this has beautiful symbols all around it, representing your inner true nature. And those symbols appear on your cloak, and you breathe them into every cell, reminding you that you are sacred and whole. And you walk underneath that archway into a beautiful temple, representing your own and housing your own flame of truth of your divine presence, Holy Spirit. Breathe deeply in this beautiful sacred place unique to you. In the center is a beautiful flame temple, pink, gold, and blue, representing the love light power of your presence. And as you walk into that, it opens for you. And you sit on a golden chair in your rainbow ray cloak. And you call on your Holy Spirit, higher selves, divine presence, to flood you with the love and light that's your birthright. And as you sit on that golden chair, receiving that love, send it to every part of your being, the feminine pillar to the left, masculine to the right, and your central pillar. And ask that that love and light of your power, wisdom, love, light of your presence flows to every part of your being. And as you sit on that golden chair, you're going to receive the Magdalene Code as I activate it now with its mantra. So give it permission to come in as it activates. Ulu lea u, ulu lea u, ulu lea u, ulu lea u. Into your sacral. Asking your sacral comes back to truth to receive this Magdalene Code into your ovaries, your creative energy. Singing the truth back to the sacral chakra to receive the Magdalene Code now. Inua am, Inua am, Inua am. Breathing the Magdalene and the ovaries code deep into your cellular structure, into your sacral chakra now. Gifting it to any parts of yourself that have forgotten this, that have believed they were less than, that they didn't have a part in the Christ consciousness. I'm going to hold up to the screen now the Christ heart of compassion. And as I activate that, I really ask all of you, if there's any emotional energy sitting in your feminine pillar, to name it and breathe it out. And what you'll be saying is, I release the belief that, and I breathe out anything, be it grief, shame, anger, guilt, anything that may be sitting when you took on the belief, the collective belief that the Christed feminine was unworthy, not equal in Christ consciousness, or didn't have an equal role to play in birthing Christ consciousness here. Ishtaha anahata, Ishtaha anahata, Ishtaha anahata. As you breathe it out, you might like to put your tongue out and intend with me that for any emotions you release, any thought forms you release, that space is immediately filled with all the love and blessings of the Christ families of light. And as you do that, I'm just going to sing a song that brings in all the blessings from the Christ planes, so that you are receiving that blessing as you release anything that you've taken on that doesn't serve you, to honor that you are a representative of the Divine Mother through your feminine nature. And this applies to the masculine as well. So just welcome in all the Christ families of light. Also, the Magdalene flame, as we call on Mary Magdalene, Lady Nada, to gift you the Magdalene flame, copper pink. And it has the ability to transmute anything, any pain, any suffering. So just welcome in the Magdalene flame into your ovaries to transmute anything sitting there that doesn't honor your sovereignty as a woman, your ability to create and teach Christ consciousness. Just breathing out all that no longer serves and breathing in all the blessings for your Christed feminine, your creative energy into your ovaries to bring balance into your whole reproductive system. Feel the gold code of the Christ, the Magdalene, filling your ovaries. Ishkamadulerisht isht ayana maku I anna e. And just a brief blessing to complete my part, because then I'll hand it over back to Mariana to maybe transmit. But I would just like, on behalf of Mary Magdalene and Lady Nada, Christ Families of Light, to say to you, all of you are here for a reason. And you have the ability to be a representative of the Divine Mother, to restore the codes of the Christed feminine, the teachings of the ancient mother temples, calling on the Christed feminine that lives within you, the Christ child that will birth through your union here. Know that you are worthy. The Book of Love holds the encodements. The Christ planes hold the encodements. The Christed being within you has all that is needed to support Mother Earth in her Christening, to be midwives, to sing to her as she births, to birth yourself and be like acupuncture points, nurturing the earth. Every time you heal something, offer it into the group heart of humanity to embrace the belief that to be a Christed being is to bring joy, dance, song, and laughter to the earth. So we ask that what we have received from the Magdalene Code is offered through our Holy Spirit back in time to ourselves in past incarnations. Anytime we suffered in this dimension from being expressing Christ consciousness, to release our ancestors, ourselves, to release the past, and to send it forward through our Holy Spirit, through all that we have birthed, be it children, projects, to our future selves, that they be set free. And to seed the thought together that we, if we are in a feminine body, are priestesses of the Divine Mother. We are the chalice that births. Know this about yourselves and offer up any beliefs. Call for the sisterhoods, the Christ families, to support you to heal anything unresolved, to claim the soul learning of why you may have acted out any suffering or martyrdom. Times you didn't speak your truth because of fear. That the parts of you that acted that out We're learning something as a soul. We have all been learning in patriarchy what it is to be disempowered as women, as the masculine learned what it is to be disempowered in matriarchy, so that we can no longer do this. We give thanks. We ask that this part of it be sealed in your field, that any cords to any being reflecting those old stories be transmuted with love and light and gratitude. And we pass it over to Mariana, if you'd like to share to this. Blessed be and thank you.
Namaste. Thank you so much, Kavya. What I got at the channeling was we as women need to break the code of silence. And you're right, just like Kaliana said, the throat, we closed that down. We closed our truth down. And by doing so 2,000 years ago, we closed ourselves down. We put ourselves in that veil. We hid behind the mask and allowed the patriarchy to take full force and full presence. And we all carry the divine wound within our bodies. We carry that wound as a collective within our feminine and even within our masculine. Us as divine feminine always feel Knights of Templars abandoned us or left us. But the truth is, they were there for our safety. They were there to protect and to hold the promise and the oath of protecting the divine feminine. And so the divine masculine and the divine feminine are coming together now within that Vesica Pisces. And we as women are resolving that within us. This is why the energies are so intense on the planet right now. Why we feel that ovarian pain as a collective, while we feel that wound pain as a collective, because we are birthing the miracle of birth, of a new world, of a new feminine walking the earth as they walked as the Magdalenes with the Yeshua back 2,000 years ago, and in Egypt as the high priestesses, and in Ethiopia, and throughout the history of the planet, and in Atlantis and Lemuria, both on the divine masculine and divine feminine side. And Kalyana was saying Anahata, and that resonating so powerfully within my whole body, especially within the womb. Anahata. Maybe we could all say it together, the three of us. Anahata is such a powerful force, right? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, anahata in Persian means water. It means the flow. It means the flow of the womb. It is the energy of the sacral. And very interestingly, and the kundalini, as it rises, this is the spot where it usually gets blocked once we transcend the ego. That's when it goes over to the third eye and into the crown.
And if you look at the masculine and feminine, it said that the longest journey kind will take is to bring the mind into the heart through the narrowest passage of the rainbow bridge. And so the throat chakra, in ancient times, we birthed through the throat chakra. We sang our babies. So that's why the throat is so important, that it be opened in birthing. Because if we're singing, guess what? We open and we birth more joyfully. And every women's group that I do are always, in the women's group I've run, I always do the one of letting go of the contract to keep our throat chakras closed down, which we do as women. And that's why thyroid's drawing attention to that. Yeah.
And I feel that at this time, we are in a series of our history where we are breaking the silence. And we have that mustard seed that Mary was talking about. And that mustard seed is about breaking that silence. And by breaking that silence, we are birthing the sound, not only of our own cosmic birth, for our birth here on earth as a morphogenetic field where we are either walking as divine and as human. It's a new way of human. That's really what Mary's calling it right now. It's a new way of human. And it's an amazing thing because we can speak freely. We can walk freely as ourselves. And that's why we as humanity are going through so much pain right now. To be able to get through resistance of going through that door and becoming the truth of us, our authentic self. I hope that was.
I would like to add to that the astrological piece of we have Uranus in Taurus, Gaia, the divine feminine, being completely renewed and shaken up through the energies of Uranus, which brings in that light and that life force and that straight up inspiration of the divine combining, and it's very interesting because Saturn used to be the old ruler of Aquarius, and now it's no longer Saturn, it's Uranus. Right?
Yes.
We also, because it is no longer about the structures, but it is more about the light coming in, the inspiration, shaking in Gaia and the divine feminine and the Venusian energy of Taurus, and bringing in the new. And then we had the discovery of Eris, just just some time ago. Eris is this new, now it's deemed as a planet beyond Pluto, but Eris was she is the feminine counterpart of Mars. She is the revolutionary goddess of she has the Kali energy. And she was just discovered, and they say a planet is usually discovered when the human consciousness is ready for it. And she's the Kali, like a very strong energy of the divine feminine, but she only, unlike Mars, Eris will only fight when there is a reason. Her so it's very interesting how she came into the consciousness right before, as we were coming into the age of Aquarius, and then there was another Mars retrograde in Aries. That is the divine masculine, Mars, and so the retrograde happening is the divine masculine reevaluating, the distorted masculine reevaluating in order to transform into the divine masculinity of their form. So there is so much that conforms this.
And as you were saying that, the energy of Kuan Yin and Lady Venus picked up all over the room.
So that's the other interesting part, right? Kuan Yin comes with her violet flame and with her, through her energy of the karmic board. Like Kuan Yin literally spoke on behalf of us starseeds. She bargained to create that we need to release unjustified karma now. It's about time. She gave us this tax break. She gave us this little that the ability to transmute karma when you're ready, and that is so new. This is new to Gaia. This is a very new energy which is coming in, giving the ability to transmute the old, because the wounds we carry in our DNA and in our subconscious across the time-space continuum need to be broken down so that our subconscious no longer continues to carry forward. And she brings that. And when she took the ownership of the violet flame from Saint Germain, that was another, I feel like that was another step of the divine feminine. Right. It's like her coming in and bringing that energy in, which allows that expansion to happen. So,
Somehow I felt Mother Mary's dramatic entrance into this conversation. And
Yes.
why I remember that is because when I was in Israel, I sat by Mother Mary's house and I felt so much of what you were just saying. And this was 2 years ago. So it's like live timing, right? And I feel that just speaking for myself as a woman right now, I'm so honored to be on this planet at this time because I go through so much pain in my personal experience. But what I was given as guidance today was that your greatest pain will become your greatest success because it's your greatest challenges that make you who you are. It isn't the pain that defines you, but it's your greatest challenges that burst forth the human and the divine being you're reincarnated to be on this planet. And I believe that we are all going through that. And the message now is basically the same thing, that we need to break that silence. We need to become the bearers of that light, the way showers that show the world we are walking our truth. And ridicule, chastisement, persecution no longer stands forth in order to block us from what we need to do. Because the
Yes.
truth is the truth, and it is us. And it is up to us to do that. As women, as feminine, as the divine embodiment of the divine feminine, we stand proud to return back to planet Earth 2,000 years later and show that to the world.
Yes.
I cannot.
Kellyanne, do you have anything to add to that?
I just wonder if I could have a couple of minutes to break the
Sure.
contracts in our throat chakras.
Perfect.
Because you keep coming back to the silence, and Nicholas Roerich did a beautiful picture. I don't know if you know of his work, and it was called The Mother of All Worlds, and she had a veil across her. And because she knew that it would go beyond the veil, and so the feminine teachings went underground in a way. And so we need to bring them back. And they're in our consciousness, in our inner temples, as representatives of the Divine Mother. But if we, as when we went into patriarchy, the feminine, very powerful and strong, if we had been speaking, we would have just said no, and it wouldn't have happened. But we also contracted to learn what it was like, you know, the seesaw of male empowered and left empowered. And so this is a contract, way of breaking a contract. And I honour Amor Kuan Yin. This is her particular process of doing it. And so I do it that way. Why reinvent the wheel when someone brought it through so magically? She's passed over. So thank you, Amora, wherever you be in spirit. And so I want you to close your eyes for a moment. And in your left hand, you're going to feel the weight of a contract, because women agreed to close down their throat chakras as men agreed to close down their feeling centers to act out patriarchy. And so in your left hand, you're going to feel a contract. It may come as a scroll, it may come as just a feeling, but I want you to welcome that contract, because every time you incarnated as a woman in patriarchy, you would have been bound by that contract, which is not to fully open up and speak the truth. And so if you're still bound by that contract, you may have spoken your truth, but you'll have reflected back to you something that tries to shut you down, or a belief that it's not safe to do this or it won't be respected. That's a sign that you're still bound by this contract. So I want you to call in from your feminine pillar any feminine parts of you living in the feminine pillar to the left of your body who are still bound by this contract. And that includes this lifetime, your inner child, up to present time. I want you to call them all in. And I want you to thank them for agreeing to do this, so our souls could learn that it didn't work. We need both male and female together. It doesn't work to have one empowered and one not. In your right hand, you're going to pick up a stamp, and it has the word void on it. And you're going to say this with me 3 times. Floating in front of you is an ink pad. It's got the 13 rainbow rays pulsing through it. And you're going to physically do this with your hands. You're going to put that stamp with the word void on it into the ink pad. And then you're going to put it onto that left hand, and you're going to say this with me. As you do it, with the full power of my divine feminine and my divine presence, under the law of grace, love, compassion and divinity, I now void this contract across all time, space and dimension. And the law of 3 is really important. When you say it 3 times, universal law, it's really witnesses truth. So we do it again. Bringing your hand again into the ink pad, vibrating with the 13 rainbow rays of heaven on earth. Bring it to your left hand and say, with the full power of my divine feminine, higher selves and presence, I now void this contract under the universal laws of love, truth, divinity, karma, compassion, and liberty, and creation. Then we do it for the last time, and really do it with full voice. Let your throat chakra open with the full power
with the full power
of my divine feminine, my higher selves and divine presence, Holy Spirit, I now break across all time, space and dimension this contract that silenced my feminine from speaking the truth. Now bring your hand and just go void. Then I want you to put your tongue out and shake your body.
like Kali.
I'm going to sing the throat chakra back to truth. This is the truth of the throat chakra. And just release anything that's blocked that truth. Breathe it. E-O-E. E-O-E. Sing the truth back to your throat chakra. E-O-E. 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 Yes, and it affects the back of the throat chakra as well. So you might want, if I was with you, and I'm going to send it to you across the ethers, this is the Magdalene Healing Balm. Has all the codes and different essences. I'm just going to, with your permission, give it to you in spirit in your temple. And just imagine that it's going all around the front and the back of your throat chakra. So I'm just asking Lady Nada, Mary Magdalene, and Mother Mary to gift you this and all the divas associated with this balm, to just give it to your throat chakra. It's a healing balm, and it brings also the Magdalene code for the throat chakra. And I always ask people to do this, having broken this contract, because in matriarchy, sometimes the feminine cursed or use their voice to disempower. So I always ask you to do this with me, and we all witness each other from this moment on.
From this moment on,
Before I vision,
before I vision,
before I receive through my crown,
before I receive from our crown,
before I speak,
before I speak,
before I create,
before I create,
walk or talk,
walk,
or
or
talk.
talk.
I ask that the energy always flows first
I ask that the energy always flows first
through the flame of truth in my heart.
through the flame of truth in my heart,
Therefore causing harm to none,
therefore causing none or harm to none,
but blessing all it touches.
the blessing and all the touches.
And I give full permission
And I give full permission
Permission.
for my divine feminine
for my divine feminine
to tap me on the left shoulder
to tap me on the left shoulder.
if I momentarily forget this,
If I momentarily forget this,
so that I can make amends
so that I can make amends
and bring the energy back to my heart
and bring the energy back to my heart
and speak from that place.
and speak from that place.
And we're all witnessing each other in this, and believe me, you will get a tap on the shoulder if you forget. And you still have free choice, but it's a good reminder to say, oh, thank you, I'm so sorry. Expand your heart flame and then speak again, or create again, or share again. Thank you for doing that. And we ask that this is a gift to all women through the group heart of humanity, the divine feminine in men, that they can listen to the feminine, their feeling nature and body, and trust it. And that this is whatever we've done and do in this webinar is gifted into the group heart of humanity as a gift. Thank you so much for receiving that. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Pollyanna. Isis wanted to give us one more gift. And it's a mantra. So if because of the echo, if anyone has a difficulty hearing me, we'll just repeat it. So maybe you ladies could repeat it for me to the audience. I choose my life journey. You could say it with me. I choose my life journey.
I choose my life journey.
I choose my life path.
I choose my life path.
The way
The way
I choose it to be.
In the way I choose this to be.
The way I speak it to be.
The way I
speak
it to be.
The way I breathe it into life to be.
The way I breathe it into life to be.
The way I imagine it into life to be.
The way I imagine it into life to be.
The way I manifest it into life to be.
The way I manifest it into life to be.
And no other way.
No other way.
And that's just an addition to your what we feel, what we speak, what we breathe into life is what we create as co-creators on this planet. And that is a beautiful gift from Lady Isis and from Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, Yeshua, Lady Kuan Yin, Lady Kali, Lady Venus, Lady Portia, a light language transmission, and it goes Anahata Ke Ane Kitu. And the second time, anahata, ke ane, kitsu, anahata, ke ane,
Okay, Anne.
kitsu. And it simply means the blessing of being alive and being reborn through sacred breath from the parts deep in us, within our hearts. We speak from our hearts. We feel from our hearts. And we live each moment from the heart. I hope that was the, hope I was able to communicate that well with the echo.
It's perfect.
This is from the Isis temple in
Wow.
Egypt, and these are only formed there from. And they shifted the whole Isis temple and they restructured it when the dam, Aswan Dam, was put in. And I bought this because out of all the ones that we could have bought, this to me was like the embryo. I don't know if you can see that. It's like the Christ child birthing with the blessing of Isis, Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, all the sisterhoods that you named. So I just offer that into our temples just to take a breath of this. And on the third eye, if you imagine it going on your third eye, it just really helps you connect to Isis. May we birth with ease and grace and joy, the Christ child on earth.
Whatever you define the Christ child as your creation, whatever your creation is, because remember that we only chose to come here as volunteer souls because we decided to understand the process of creation through this realm of duality, because it is only in this third dimensional realm that we can feel completely and understand how the instantaneous process of creation can be manifested. And that is the gift we all chose to experience as we came here. We chose to come here at this point in time as the earth goes through this shift. Our souls decided to come here and not skip this timeline because we decided to be part of the birthing of the new age so we can then carry this flame over to others as we flowers. So this discomfort, this period of shift will bring through our own learning the teachings that we will continue to send to others. This is why you are here right now. This is why you're going through whatever you're going through right now. Because you are to be the way showers.
Thank you, Meher. Kaliana, I
Thank you,
just wanted
Maya.
to also add, this is a Super 7 that I just received. It's an amazing crystal. It came all the way from United Kingdom. And this has helped me tremendously with not only the diaphragm, but also the ovaries and the sacral. So if you guys, you can breathe that in, so beautiful. It looks like it's pretty ancient, but it has such a tremendous power, such a healing power. We give that all to the women.
It's almost the perfect embodiment of the violet flame. It has all
Yeah.
of the elements.
And even the color, those magenta, it's almost like Lady Portia gifted it.
It's beautiful.
And one more message. Mary says, let mortal love become the healing balm for the rest of your life. That anything you are going through, feel it, that is an experience, and embody love in that experience. Add that to your recipe for life. and your experience will become smoother on planet Earth.
Yay!
This is the embodiment we're all talking about embodying today, and you decided to work with the sacral code of all the codes. And I was just thinking about just yesterday going into today is Basant Panchami, which is in India celebrated as the arrival of spring, and who's worshipped on this day is Brahma, the creator, and Saraswati, his consort, who is the goddess of creation and knowledge and the arts. And so it's very similar. I kind of related to the embolic, where you are birthing the beginning of the spring and the beginning of creation, and that is, we're in that time right about now. And it's very interesting that you were guided to use the code for the sacral, and you're talking about the embodiment. So,
And I'm holding up this candle because Ram and I traveled anchoring the Christ codes around the world until last year when we couldn't travel with COVID. And so this is a candle that was in the center of all those ceremonies, this held space. And so I'm just holding it up. It represents the union through the Christ heart. And just to share that my husband, Rama, is running a 6-week group at the moment called the Codes of the Sacred Masculine, working with all the Esho codes that I brought through and he scribed. And after that, I will be running a course on the Magdalene codes, all the 22 codes. So if you're interested in that, just join up on my email list. I think on the, Mariana had it on the information about this webinar is my website. So you're most welcome to join up. And when I receive clear guidance of how to do that, when to do it, because I've always done it in person, not on webinar, and there's 22 codes. So when I receive the pulse and the guidance as to what form that will take, I'll let everyone on my email list know, because it is for men and women. When many years ago I was asked to open all my women's groups to men so they could be at peace with their feminine. So I ran a group called Return to Innocence on all the Magdalene codes and invited men into it, and they were so grateful to receive that support for their feminine. So just a little PR statement there in there. Thank you.
Kalyana, if you can, just put it on the chat, just for everyone who didn't receive the email, the website, and how they can contact you. Meher, do the same thing if you can. Definitely. Meher does amazing Akashic Records readings. Right, Meher, what else do you do? I'll let you speak.
with the Akash and the reading and clearing of the Akash, and of course astrology, which includes the Vedic remedies and numerology and human design and gene codes and anything to do with blueprint is my thing.
And most of you know that I do soul retrieval and DNA activation. I work with reclaiming your soul parts and the divine feminine and channeling. So you all can find us on Esoteric Guys NYC. And hopefully we'll be able to speak to you guys very shortly. We do private sessions too.
Same.
Well, we're always available after the show, always. And Scott, do we have anybody from the audience that wants to jump on and join us or have a question? Scott?
If anyone would like to share, just put your information in the chat and Scott will be able to bring you on. We have about 5 more minutes.
Yeah, if anyone would like to share, just let us know.
Such a lovely voice, Scott.
Thank you. Okay, Simon. Thank you.
Well, Scott, maybe you could give us a pitch about Esoteric NYC as well.
Oh, Simon said he's happy to jump on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Simon's coming on. There we go. Oh, actually, no, he won't be able to come on. Again, his camera is something wrong with his camera.
Oh.
Sorry, Simon. We
Does
can
he have
hear
a
you, though, if you
question?
want to say something.
No?
Yeah, no, unfortunately, he can't get on. His camera works on Zoom. Yeah, he's got to unhook his camera from Zoom, but that's okay. But yeah, Esoteric, we're changing it up a bit. We offer obviously classes, lectures, events such as this, and also readers as well. We're doing time-based readings with people. So, and Mariana is on. In fact, I'll put her page there, and Marinaz will be on soon, correct, Marinaz? So definitely, they're great. But yeah, so it's great. You guys were awesome today. It was really, as a male, it was really refreshing to get all that beautiful feminine sort of divine feminine energy. It was really, and your message was really important, definitely. So yeah, and here's Mariana's page on the guides. So yeah, thank you very much. If anyone else would like to come on and share, you're welcome. I think everyone's sort of stunned into silence. Well, we're about at the hour and a half. So yeah, if you want to close up, any final statements, that would be great.
Yeah. Kaliana, would you like to pick up a song?
Would I like to what? Sing a song?
Maybe you could, yeah.
Okay. This is a light language version of an old Catholic hymn. So it goes like this. It's a blessing from all the divine mothers and the angels. And this is angel light. And it said that angel light is the stone that helped Mother Mary become an archangel. So we bless her because Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene are the two pillars of bringing through that. And Magdalene is the earthing energy, particularly at this time, the avatar of the Kundalini. So I just like to offer my voice to the whales, the dolphins, the angels of sound, and Mother Mary and all the divine mothers to sing to you with the intention that whatever you've received during this is sealed in your field, and that you receive all the love and grace to integrate with grace whatever you've received during this webinar from the three of us. Mother's most pure, star of the sea, hold now these precious ones, nurture thee. Ana, Ana, Ishana, Ishana, Ana, Ishana, Atana, Umaya, Anaheya, Umaya, Mother's most pure, star of the sea, hold now these precious ones, nurture thee. Ana, Ana, Ishana, Ishana, Ana, Ishana, Blessed be.
So beautiful. Oh my God.
Blessed be.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Maher, do you want to say a few words to complete? No?
This was just beautiful. It totally sealed it in. Thank you. I just want to add the energies of Mother Durga and that interest.
Thank you. And to all, thank you so much for joining us and being a part of this beautiful Beautiful night.
Thank you.
It's truly an honor to be a part of you all, to be one heart, one soul, one tribe, one family. I think this is the best lifetime I've had so far. And I'll tell you why, because I feel like the tribe is coming back home together with one heart, in unison, in unification. And I feel that at the end of this great darkness, we're all going to walk through this beautiful tunnel of light, get on this beautiful mountain, sing this amazing song of creation, and dance of creation and cosmic birth and new earth birth together as one.
It's
So
about
I really am so happy. Thank you.
it's about
Thank you so much.
the age of Aquarius won't tolerate anything else otherwise. No, really, if any of you are feeling that, it's about time, things are shifting, it's either that or, we have to catch up. That's exactly how the energies are.
Welcome to the age of Aquarius.
And thank you.
Thank you, Pollyanna.
Thank you so much for the invitation. It's so beautiful to work in Trinity. And thank you for the time you gave me to share. And I loved receiving what you both shared. And blessings on everyone on the call from Australia, the land of Oz, just above Byron Bay.
Well, as Yeshua used to say, in my name, 3, you pray, 3 in my name. Well, we did just pray, not just only us, but for the entire world and for all the women and all the men out there. May they have a more peaceful night's rest tonight and a little bit of a more peaceful life for the duration of their time here.
Happy spring.
And share your gifts, everyone. And don't forget that tap on the shoulder. Just always to know in your heart you have everything.
Okay, everyone.
guys.
Thank
Have
you
a
very much.
blessed
Good
night.
night.